Greetings, fellow hostages. Captain Black, hostage who fights back. Today's topic: are black conservatives required to hate Malcolm X? Hat tip to the bold pursuit for publishing this article of mine. You can find the link in the box below. The Daily Caller recently posted a piece on national spokesperson Katrina Pearson. She, of course, is the public face of the Donald Trump campaign. She happens to be black, and in the course of this particular article, tweets of hers from years back were critically analyzed. Some of the conclusions were that she was somehow anti-Christian for questioning hypocrisy among those of us who claim the Messiah. She was also considered to be anti-conservative because she admitted to voting for Barack Obama. And FYI, folks, if we're honest, a number of Republicans and or right-leaning people voted for Obama. And last but not least, to add insult to injury, she was accused obliquely of being anti-white because she expressed admiration for Malcolm X, particularly his condemnation of the white liberal who's always seeking exotic pets to put on his plantation. I've often found that when some of our paler traditionalist peers seek to, quote, invalidate a black traditionalist, they may trot out support for Malcolm X or even the Black Panthers as proof. Recently, we saw this in the form of a wall of silence from even the most conservative black voices and frantic, finger-cramping typing to denounce Nelson Mandela after he died. As I've always said, it's not the Heritage Foundation which made me conservative. It's the foundation of my heritage. The first voice I heard speaking against abortion was Elijah Muhammad. The first examples I saw of citizens securing themselves against criminals, against domestic terrorists, and yes, even against excessive government in the form of racist police were civil rights marchers, members of the Nation of Islam, and the original Black Panther Party. There isn't any one color or one set of check-off list items to make someone a, quote, conservative or traditionalist. The black self-help tradition is innately nonpartisan. Democrats abused us, Republicans abused us, but the independence of self-governance has always been the salve for such abuse. Two-parent families, entrepreneurship, places of worship, self-defense, preservation of life. These are things that we did not need to be led toward by some benevolent white man. These were customs we came here with, and they served us quite well over the test of time. We find ourselves being judged by others, in this instance, members, at least in theory, of the same ideological big tent. Katrina Pearson did not have to apply to any majority population group in order to call herself a conservative. Neither did I, neither did Justice Thomas, neither any other black person. Conservatism at its root is about standing up to attacks upon man's divine right to govern himself. In that context, there is nobody who can tell you, well, you're not conservative because you don't agree with me. Conservatism is not a middle-aged white male phenomenon. That's not a knock on my middle-aged white male friends, but it's merely reinforcing the rhetoric I hear that conservatism is supposed to be a universal philosophy powered by principle and not confined by pigmentation. The black nationalists of the 1960s, who railed against excessive government in the form of police brutality, in the form of Jim Crow North and South policies, in the form of your tax dollars going to give someone else first-class accommodations on the public dime while you got the leftovers. That is an innately conservative argument. When we talk about self-defense, does self-defense mean, if one reads the fine print, that you can defend yourself against others so long as they're not white people? You know, these are some of the questions that the Malcolm X card being played against a black conservative bring to the surface. We need to be very clear that if the boll weevil, violently racist Southerner who called himself a conservative, has merely smoothed off the rough edges and tolerates black people so long as they're in lockstep compliance with them, then he's no different, in my humble opinion, than the pale progressive racist whose prejudice is mounting to the stars, but who feels that he can call his conservative brethren the actual bigot. Are black conservatives required to hate Malcolm X? Of course not. All they're required to do, all we're required to do, is not be exotic pets for the left or even some on the right. Check out my article at The Bold Pursuit, and remember, if you don't govern yourself, somebody else will.